Blood Crown Ceremony, Dark Court.
Chapter 71, Heavenly Sect. There are important events in the imperial court, and there are decrees in the state government, and in order to let the yamen of the ministries know, they all print and distribute the newspapers of the palace, and send them to the officials every few days. In the past, Zhang Xuning sat in this side hall to meditate, and Xie Wei often dealt with official documents there. But he has always been a strict man, and he will take as many things as he comes, and he will never be negligent to this point, and he will only leave such a page of the newspaper. Did you put it here on purpose, to show it to yourself? Zhang Xuning couldn't go deeper. After the little eunuch passed through the door, she carefully read the page twice more before she walked to the bookcase, and gently picked up the green jade paperweight on the top, and pressed it together with other used or unused pages. Asterisk. Leave the palace the next day. Although many things have happened in the palace these days, and even the eldest princess of Liang has not been grounded, but all the companions have easily survived until the day when Xiaomu leaves the palace and goes home, and they are not very old. Even if they are depressed, they will inevitably rise a little, and it is rare to show some light smiles. Yu was even more happy. She has asked a lot of official and private salt things from Xiao Shu and Chen Shi these days, and she only feels that there is a lot of profit to be made from it. Before entering the palace, she accidentally got the secret news from Yu Fangyan's slut, who was a slut, and had ordered someone to go down to Beijing to find Ren Weizi, and by the way, check the truth of the matter. 10 days have passed. Yu believes that when she returns home, there is probably an amazing good news waiting for her. I'm going to say goodbye to my sisters again. I didn't expect 10 days in the palace to be long, and to say short. Once I want to say goodbye to everyone, I still have some reluctance in my heart. Having said that, the corners of Yu's eyes and eyebrows were full of smiles. I just hope that Xiaomu will pass these 2 days quickly, so that I can return to the palace as soon as possible, read for Her Royal Highness the eldest princess, and reunite with my sisters. Almost no one packed their luggage. One is just a temporary rest for 2 days, and the other is that after experiencing Zhang Xuaning's almost bad luck because of a piece of paper, everyone didn't dare to bring anything when entering and leaving the palace, so they all traveled lightly. Early in the morning, I went to Shenzhen Gate. Everyone had different expressions, and basically didn't answer Yu's words. Yao Rongrong frowned, sighed worriedly, and said, I'm not afraid of my sister's jokes, I'm timid, and the things in the palace are really terrifying. I thought that the lives of the nobles were satisfactory, but I didn't want to be frightened every step of the way. Alas, even the noble status of Her Royal Highness the eldest princess and Her Royal Highness the King of Lindsay will also be punished. As he spoke, his voice became quieter. It's like I'm afraid of being heard. Zhang Xuning walked not far from her, and couldn't help but glance at her when she heard the words, and tried her best to think about it, but she just remembered that Yao Rongrong, who was timid and afraid and couldn't speak, seemed to have entered the palace in her previous life. It's just that he is not favored, but also bullied. If you are really afraid of the frightening days in the palace, what are you still doing in the palace? When she thought of this, her eyes couldn't help but turn to Xiao Shu. This woman who almost became a big winner in the palace fight in the future. As usual, the gorgeous clothes are deepened, the bearing is graceful, and it looks calm, with the kind of spirit that can only be cultivated by a high-ranking family. Zhang Xuning clearly remembered that in her previous life, she insisted on being a master and insisted on becoming a queen, so she gave up Yanlin and robbed Zhang Suiwai's marriage, and tried her best to marry Shenju. The whole process was arduous, but there were no real dangers or obstacles. In this life, the intersection between her and Shenju has become shallow, but instead she has encountered a trap and thrill that she has never encountered in the previous life. Is it because she has changed in this life, so that the people who are secretly framed have a crisis, so she framed her, or did she have such a frame in the previous life, but she didn't know about it for some reason, or the other party failed to frame it by mistake? Xiao Shu said lightly, Her Royal Highness the eldest princess and His Royal Highness the King of Lindsay are nobles, but the Queen Mother and the Holy Lord were punished only when they were angry. How can they be compared with others? Yao Rongrong was suddenly silent. Zhang Xuning thought about it, deliberately smiled, and continued, Miss Xiao's words are extremely true. Not to mention the noble status of Tian Huang, the punishment is just to make them think clearly, and they will not be serious. Is really grounded and punished for kneeling for a few days. Her Royal Highness the eldest princess may be depressed, but His Royal Highness the King of Lindsay may not. Seeing that it is the winter solstice season, it is a good time to hide in the house and draw a picture of the cold year, and His Highness may be very happy to have a few days of leisure. Xiao Shu was originally walking calmly in front, but when she heard the words Sui Han Tu, her steps were steep, and she couldn't help but glance back at Zhang Xuning, and said with a smile, Second Miss Zhang knows a lot. Although Shen Ju was the king of Lindsay, and was later made the imperial brother, he was not very enthusiastic about political affairs, and his temperament was soft, and he always preferred to dance and write. He has a very little known hobby, which is to paint pictures of the cold years in the winter months. She only knew about it after marrying Shen Ju in her previous life, but it is difficult for ordinary people to know so clearly. Unexpectedly, Xiao Shu was so clear. You must know that at this time, Shen Ju has not yet been made the emperor's younger brother. And I have only heard that Xiao Shu and Shen Zai are close, and I have never heard that Xiao Shu and Shen Ju are also very familiar. Thinking about it, Zhang Xuning sneered in her heart, but her face was gentle and curved at the corners of her lips, with a look that she didn't understand Xiao Shu's meaning. Xiao Shu didn't say anything. After a while, the palace gate was close in front of him, and the carriages and sedan chairs from various provinces were waiting outside. Tanger and Lianer haven't seen their own girl for 10 days. Both were waiting in front of the carriage. Zhang Xuning came out of the palace gate, but she was stunned when she saw the two of them. The two girls had put on warm and thick jackets, their heads and faces were neatly tied, they looked fair-skinned, ruddy, with a happy smile on their faces, and they waved happily when they saw her. Second girl, aren't you tired of studying in the palace? It's been a long time since I saw you, I miss you so much. God knows how comfortable the two big girls would have lived without Zhang Xuning in the mansion. The monthly money is still received, and there is no need to serve people, and there is no need to worry about the girl pinching with his wife and the eldest girl at every turn. At first, I wasn't used to being so relaxed and leisurely, but after 3 days, I got used to it, and my body was really good, and it was delicious. My waist is no longer sore, my legs are no longer painful, and my hair is not falling out a lot. Just ask. What could be happier in the world than to serve a girl who is going to be in the palace to accompany her? Therefore, Lianer and Tanger are so happy to see Zhang Xuning now, because they only need to serve her for 2 days, and they will soon usher in a full 10-day-long holiday, and this situation can last for half a year. It's just earth-shattering. One of them came up to help her into the carriage, and the other served the tea attentively and carefully. Zhang Xuning was still a little confused, but after sitting down and pondering carefully, she understood the trick. Tanger is okay, she is somewhat reserved and steady, and Lianer's eyes are about to squint into crescents, so she almost didn't write the word happy on her face. She couldn't help but laugh. Deliberately teased them and said, I am so happy to see your girl come back. It seems that I think I am broken, or I will go to Her Royal Highness Princess Yuming, and simply not accompany the reading, every day at home, and save you from chattering. Tanger. Lianer, don't, it's such a good opportunity to enter the palace to accompany you. After she finished speaking, she met Jiang Xunning's smiling gaze, the back of her head suddenly became excited, she reacted, and hurriedly covered her mouth, showing an aggrieved expression on her face. Jiang Xunning leaned on the pillow cushioned in the car, seeing that their joys, and sorrows were on their faces, and only then did she feel a little relaxed that she had not felt for a long time. The breeze blows up the curtains. She looked down the corner, and when the coachman shook the whip and flicked the reins to turn the carriage in one direction, the majestic Forbidden City stood in the thick morning mist, just past the narrow corner in front of her window, and gradually disappeared. This short and peaceful time of companionship is finally over. Asterisk. On the way back to Jiang's mansion, Jiang Xuning asked what had happened in the mansion recently. Lianer and Tanger, the two maids, enjoy the enjoyment, and the leisure is leisure, but the things that should be known are also inquired clearly, and there are a lot of things. As soon as Jiang Xuning asked, they counted them with her one by one. As soon as she entered the palace, everyone in the palace smiled, especially the people who had been oppressed and embarrassed by her, all of them were as happy as the new year. Meng Shi also had a hard time living a comfortable life. Zhang Suiwei received invitations from some princes and nobles, and she still listened to the piano, admired flowers, and composed poems. It's just that Jiang Xuning listened, lifted the curtain of the car and looked outside, only to see that the pedestrians on the street were all in a hurry, and they couldn't wait to bury their heads in the ground, as if they were afraid of provoking something. You must know that the capital is a prosperous place, how can it be so deserted? Yan Jiho's mansion is honored, built near the Suzaku Gate, pavilions, high walls are continuous, and it extends to occupy half of the street. The carriage of Jiang's house will also pass by the end of this street. However, at this moment, what I saw was a line of soldiers, guarding the streets, all wearing heavy armor, holding swords and halberds, with serious faces, and a pair of eagle-like eyes scanning the passers-by. As soon as Jiang's carriage passed, someone was staring closely. It wasn't until he saw the family emblem of Zhang Fu on the carriage that he retracted his gaze and didn't stop them immediately. Jiang Xuning was silent. Seeing her expression, Tanger cautiously lowered her voice and said, "A few days ago, heavy troops suddenly came to surround the Yanjiho mansion, and our Zhang mansion was shocked when we received the news, and the master got up at night and dressed up to inquire about the situation. However, it is said that this time the matter is very serious, and there have been many homeless people in the capital who have been wandering around the night and quietly posting notices at the gates of the city gates and shops at night, all of which are written with great rebellious words. The Shuntian mansion and the Jinyi guards were all dispatched, arresting people everywhere, and the prisons were all full, and it was rumored that they were all members of the Heavenly Sect." Heavenly Sect. It is rumored that this religion existed several decades ago. At the beginning it was only the same as Buddhism and Taoism, and I didn't want to absorb many homeless people and rangers later, and there were many idle broken skins and broken settlements in the rivers and lakes and green forests, and they all joined it, with the name of heaven, to worship the head of the sect, and to listen to the orders of the head of the sect in action. 20 years ago, King Pingnan rebelled, which was to unite with the heavenly sect. But later, when the king of Pingnan was defeated, the mysterious sect leader directly led people to retreat to the capital, and the power of the heavenly sect was much smaller in the encirclement and suppression of the imperial court. It's just that the heavenly sect is widely spread, and there are even 2 people around the sect leader who are clever. One is older, and they are all called Mr. Gongai. One rarely shows up, and is only called Dujinshan people. They were rarely seen, but they were always the ones who were ahead of them. Although the power of the imperial court is large and the military strength is strong, it is often a bad move, and many of the heavenly sects are ordinary people, and the Xiangtang is hidden, so it is always difficult to exterminate the heavenly sect. In recent years, the imperial court has slowed down a little, and the heavenly sect has begun to operate in the Jiangnan area, far away from the capital, to develop its influence. Is it time to make a comeback? Zhang Xuning only knew that she had been attacked by the heavenly sect several times in her previous life, and Xie Wei had almost uprooted the entire heavenly sect later, but she knew very little about this mysterious sect, let alone what they wanted to do now. She only knew that something was about to happen to the Marquis of Yanji. This Tianjiao force suddenly appeared in the capital again, which is by no means a good thing, but I am afraid that it will be used by people with intentions to make a fuss. She raised her hand to press her temple, but she felt that a string in it was tense and painful, and she asked, "Is my father in the house?" Tang Er said cautiously, "Yes, I know that the girl is coming back from the palace today, and I am waiting for you to go back to talk in the house." Zhang Xuning nodded, "I'll go to my father to say goodbye when I go back to the house in a while, and you go and help me inquire about the news of Uncle King Yuan's mansion, especially Yu Fangyan."